Hey guys, Drifter here. Welcome back to Verdansk. The regular Call of Duty community and the Warzone community have been investing a lot of hope into this new map, and their hope is that by returning to an older, classic, and cherished Call of Duty experience, that it will bring back the player base and Call of Duty will be great again. So did Verdansk save Warzone? Maybe not according to the Steam charts, but it is a very good start. The Steam charts have gotten better as of making this video, had about 114 at peak and averages about 65k, which is still way down from before, but player counts did go back up with the new season. The map itself is overall extremely good. You're mostly going to hear a positive review here, but it is not without flaws. There's a couple of major flaws that we'll talk about in the back section of the video. So today I wanted to give you my full good, bad, and ugly review of the new Verdansk. We'll call it Verdansk 2025 for the purposes of this video. So right off the rip, let's start with the good. Graphical fidelity is basically the same as the original game, which I rather liked. It's probably slightly technically better, but most players won't notice. Verdansk has maintained its relatively clean original aesthetic. It's not as busy or messy or as dusty as other Warzone maps have been recently. And the biggest change that they've made to the map itself is that they did reduce the extremes between interior and exterior lighting. So in old Verdansk, there's a lot of really dark areas indoors and really bright areas outside, and when your character would transition like through a doorway from inside to outside, you would be blind for a short period of time because it was so dark in there to mirror real life. They have decided to rebalance the lighting on the map to make those extremes less extreme. They're closer to normal now. There's not such a harsh transition. Don't worry, there's still plenty of areas for dark corner McDougalls to hide in, but there's less of them than there used to be. And there's also less penalty from running from outside to inside or vice versa. I'm totally here for the lighting change. I wish they would have done that on original Verdansk, but I guess they didn't get around to it before the map got scrapped. And I will say that this map is better optimized for PC than any Warzone launch event that I've ever had in my life. Every time Warzone launches a new map, it is an optimization nightmare. I have to spend time before stream tweaking settings just to make sure that everything will work right. Verdansk just booted up and ran fine for me. Now, I have a beefy PC with a 4090 and stuff, but I didn't have to spend all day like micro customizing these little like config settings and stuff just to make the game work. It just worked great, and I hope that that level of optimization was carried over to console as well. Moving along from graphics, let's talk about audio fidelity. The sound system in the game is imperfect, but much better than average for a Call of Duty product. So I'm actually going to put this in the good section, though we will talk about the bad aspects of it. Warzone Verdansk has decent directional audio. I can usually hear enemy footsteps within a certain range, and I can usually tell what level they're on above or what surface they're walking on. I can tell what directions the gunshots are coming from most of the time. It's not perfect. Sometimes I just don't hear anything and enemies run up behind me and kill me. Sometimes the audio is a little bit muffled or confusing. Sometimes I get the directions a little bit wrong. But overall, it's working. I can use it to track and prepare to fight and hunt people. The bigger issues I have are with my teammates' footsteps. They're louder than the enemy footsteps all the time, and when I'm dead, the enemy audio plays through my speakers as a spectator more clearly than when I'm actually in the game. I'm starting to think late game we're going to just have one of our players just die, and then they're just going to be like our audio beacon. They'll just have their like crazy giant elephant ears hearing everybody in spectator mode. I don't know why that's a thing. And this type of audio balance would be unacceptable in any other game franchise. In any other game franchise, this would be considered broken, this would be considered bad, this would be at least in the bad section, if not the ugly one. But having audio that works most of the time is way above average for Call of Duty and Call of Duty products. So we're already off to a good start here on that one. The map itself is nearly perfect, and I mean that from a gameplay balancing perspective. Verdansk is just what a battle royale is supposed to be. It's extremely similar to its launch state, but they did keep a handful of quality of life features that came on later. I personally love the overall balanced approach of this map. It has these dense, tight, urban, indoor, multi-story fights that you can get involved in and do things with zip lines, but it's also got plenty of outside, relatively flat hills and trees, PUBG-style fights you can engage in. A lot of recent maps have not had that, and I love that I have choices. I feel like having choices in a tactical game is very, very important. One of the biggest changes that you'll notice to the map is some of the advanced features are offline. The subway system's offline, train is offline, red doors are offline, And there's even less zip lines than at launch. I think they actually removed some of the launch zip lines from the game. They went really, really minimalist with the zip lines, and I suppose they'll be adding them back slowly later. But I think that's mostly a good thing, but a little bit of a double-edged sword. So it's very annoying when somebody has a power position that you have to push and there's no zip line or launch or like flying type access to it. You're just in a really bad spot. But I do think that it's thematically appropriate for Battle Royale to take the high ground, and it's tactically rewarding to hold onto these power positions. It makes me feel like I'm playing a game that rewards a little bit of thinking instead of just YY quickscope ladder slide movement god all over the place like we've been doing in Area 99 for a while. So I'm overall very happy with the map's layout and its graphics and everything about it, but let's talk about the gameplay, starting with some of the items. I also think it's a good thing that most of the old loot has returned, and in doing so there's less loot in general, but there's more useful loot. There's less total choices, but more choices that I care about, so I don't feel as overwhelmed by all the stuff in the map. They did bring armor satchels back. Perk packages were added to the game. Both of these make total sense for me, so I'm here for those small changes. Totally good to go with that. I did notice that the boxes on the ground respawn like they did in Fortune's Keep or in Resurgence, which is a welcome change, because there was nothing more miserable in old Warzone than redeploying to the back of Quarry only to discover that the area you're exploring was looted 20 minutes ago, and you'll find a collection of pistols and maybe some shotgun shells just laying around, but no shotguns. So we don't have that issue. When you redeploy, most of the chests have refreshed, which is really cool. I think it's really cool that they brought back a lot of the classic TF-141 military weapons. That was a nice touch. They fit the theme of the map a lot better, and they're overall a lot more realistic than the Black Op weapons, so thematically I tend to gravitate toward them. They're definitely unbalanced, though. The HDR, Kilo, and AMAX are top-tier weapons right now, especially the HDR. It's just in a class unto its own for sniper rifles. That might even be patched by the time this video comes out, but they're a little bit strong. This is probably a good section to include the fact that I'm happy with the returning vehicles as well. We've got all the classic vehicles back, plus the Hummers. I think they removed the heavy trucks and stuff from solos, so it's not as annoying for solos. But I feel like this game has the vehicle balance just right. The trucks offer me just enough protection to be able to rush in and have a fun push on enemies without them being overpowered. They're relatively easy to take down. All of the non-cargo truck vehicles are very easy to take down. You can shoot the drivers and passengers out. It just totally works for me. Another thing that I think is really good, even though I didn't do it for this video, is that a casual mode has been added to Warzone Verdansk. The casual mode is 100 bots and 28 players, which means I just think this is brilliant. You can land and you're not in a sweat fest. This lets me get thumbnails, test weapons, or just play chill games if I want to. And I understand, for those of you in the comments, which I in the future can already hear you furiously typing down, that you don't want to play against bots and this is a disgrace and that's not what you signed up for. That's fine. Just don't play this mode if you don't want to play against bots. I totally get, I don't like playing against bots, so I didn't for this video. These are all real people. But the point is that there are real casual gamers out there that need to warm up, that need to learn some things about the game, or maybe just want to have a chill night. So this mode is a godsend for casuals. Not for me, though. I'm not casual. I'm hardcore. But this is a good time to move on to the bad section. The first bad thing is that Omni movement is kind of half in the new Verdansk. The developers seemed to have decided to split the difference between the original Warzone movement speed and the new very extreme Omni movement. So now we have kind of this halfway point between Black Ops 6 and Modern Warfare 2019. It's a really awkward place for the game to be in. There is one part of this that I like. I know we're in the bad section, but I do like that climbing and mantling are both easier and faster. It's not as punishing to hop over small obstacles, and I have a few extra ways to climb into second stories or make little jumps without zip lines, but they're mostly skill-based, but they made it just easy enough to make it possible. Those are the things I do like. Now let's move on to the things I don't like about Omni movement, and I'll add a hate. I hate the prone rolling with weapons thing, because people that are laying on their backs just look like dead bodies to me. The overall look of the individual is really weird. I run past them all the time. I use it to cheese people all the time. I believe that going prone should have some kind of movement penalties associated with it. You shouldn't have a full 360 degrees of fast rotational movement while you're proned out on your belly or your back or something like that. The other thing I don't like about this is that enemies can instantly accelerate sideways. It's like every single person was given the Stalker Pro perk for free. Strafing is crazy in New Warzone. They can just kind of do that. It reminds me of the Exo boost from Advanced Warfare, but of course considerably milder. So for me, with my weak handicapped hands and my 4-inch mouse space, that means it's extremely difficult for me to track enemies when they're doing like this side-to-side wobble tracking, especially if they're on console or something, because they'll have auto-aim that does all the work for them, and I have to micromanage on my 4-inch little mouse pad with my Logitech G super light mouse. Shout out to Logitech G. We'll do a sponsorship moment here. I play on PC. I love the super light mice. They're great for my hands, extremely precise, one of the best gaming tools I own. If you want to check this out, it's linked down there below in the description. Code Drifter will save you 5% off. But yeah, even with my nice mouse, it's not as fun. I feel like I would be happier if they couldn't strafe as fast, because in a game where the time to kill is so short and we do have a faster time to kill, I feel like it should be rewarding people for acting faster and snapping to targets instead of this raw mechanical, skill like Apex kind of gunfight. That's what we have going on right now. The next bad thing is that the gun balance is all over the place. We knew that this was going to happen because it's supporting 3, and actually if you include the new weapons they added, we could even say 4 different games now worth of weapons. So there's a lot of weapon balancing to come, and they're going to be adding more weapons. All of the new Modern Warfare 19 weapons are very strong. I emphasize that in the good section. Most of the Black Ops and previous Modern Warfare weapons are wildly inconsistent in their performance. I don't know what the final meta of Warzone Verdansk is going to be, but it's probably going to settle on some really broken stuff until that gets cleaned out with successive patches. I'm not super worried about this aspect. I do think it's going to get patched in the future. But for now, if you just want to play Sweat, just play HDR and Kilo. They're both extremely good weapons. The next thing, I really probably should have put this more in the ugly section, but the ugly section is very ugly for this video. I hated the Cali Stick Unlock Challenge with a passion. Did not care to have to go all over the map and find all the safes and play all the games. I'm just going to put this in the bad section because it was super annoying to me. I don't like having to play fetch. Don't give me time-wasting challenges to unlock game-changing items. If the challenges aren't fun, we shouldn't be doing them. If they're just grindy, like N64 level escort missions, we don't need to do that. We don't need to be picking up blackout paint cans all over again. Another thing in the bad section is that the servers are still a little bit wonky. Different people have different reports on this. The tick rate is on the lower side of things, and you're still going to get lag spikes. I don't think there's really a way to avoid that. That's just the Activision special these days. But servers are a little bit weird. And now the section all the little goblins are excited for, the ugly section. Drifter's true hatred is going to come out. And everything in the ugly section of this Verdansk review is about human failures. I think the map itself and the gameplay and most of the technical aspects of what we've talked about are really good. The bad section is just things that could be changed easily. There really isn't anything wrong with the way it's playing now, but there's a lot wrong with the way that people are choosing to play it, and we'll start off with cheating. There were day one hackers in Verdansk. Even in my limited amount of games, we ran into a bunch of people that were behaving suspiciously. Really good aim, really snappy on the targets. They kind of knew where we were sometimes. Couldn't quite call out a cheater 100%, but it was pretty sus, I'll say. But then, if you look on Reddit, you'll see a near endless flood of clips from Redditors and streamers and other content creators that have just ran into blatant hackers on day one. They've got aimbots, they've got wall hacks, recoil mods, sticky aim, all the classics. And this is sad because I know the Call of Duty team is constantly touting their upgrades to the Ricochet anti-cheat system, whereas the community is constantly complaining about how that system isn't working and as a product has fundamentally failed. And I know that Activision is investing money into this product to make it better. I know they're updating, I know they're trying. They're suing and shutting down a bunch of cheat manufacturers in the most permanent ways that they can. But Activision is still losing the war on cheating quite badly. And their solution to this, okay. I'll go back to my script because I was about to say some very naughty words here. As per the script, what really makes me mad about this is that instead of fixing the problem, they decided to add console-only crossplay. Now, console players, you're rejoicing. All of you are super happy. Great. We've pulled 95% of the hackers out of the game. I totally get that opinion. I'm not going to argue with you on that one. But what that means is that PC players like me are essentially put in quarantine and forced into higher queue times to protect the console players. I get punished by being locked in a small box with a disproportionate amount of cheaters, with longer queue times and sweatier opponents, because the vast majority of people are enabling console-only crossplay to avoid the cheaters. So instead of the cheaters getting punished, their game doesn't really change, I get punished. I get punished by this more than the cheaters because it slows down my match time. It prevents me from having fun with my friends and crossplay and stuff, and just, I don't like that. If Ricochet anti-cheat doesn't work, then fix it. If it's broken, replace it. Don't quarantine me just because I'm on PC. And I want to be very serious about this when I say I'm on PC. I'm a PC-only gamer because of my disabilities. You guys see I really only sit down to film videos like this. I stream from the bed laying down. I do play, I'll pop the little mouse here. You know, I do use the Logitech G super light mouse. Second sponsorship moment, right? They weigh almost nothing, but because I'm playing in a bed, my mouse space is like, you know, this big. But yeah, I have to play in bed because of all my boo-boos, and I have to use a mouse. I physically cannot hold a controller for very long, maybe like one game, and then my hands will be done for like an hour or two. So I have to play on PC. Well, now I've been quarantined in the cheater room and the low priority everything room. So that motivates me to, what, play more COD? No, if Call of Duty is going to punish me by quarantining me, and if the quarantine gets any worse, then I'm just not going to play. I'll just go play a game that doesn't punish PC players. So that's my... boy, I wanted to add a lot of swear words to that one, but I'm trying to keep this video monetizable. The other bad thing is that with 5 years of Warzone, the mode is extremely competitive now. I know that this is a new map and a rollback on features, and you know, people are kind of getting their sea legs and learning new stuff, but everybody's playing really hard and really sweaty. Thanks to skill-based matchmaking, it won't take long before your regular casual matches start feeling like ranked ones. As we discussed before, there's a casual mode, and there's a ranked mode coming soon, so hopefully that'll get the casuals one place, and the ranked people somewhere in the, you know, the middle ground will play pubs, and that'll help separate the players for now. But also for now, pubs are extremely sweaty. Pubs are competitive. People are going for kill races and challenges and tournaments and all sorts of stuff. So if you're hopping in to play Verdansk for the first time, maybe Warzone for the first time, or maybe you played this when it was just out and you haven't played for a couple of years, please keep in mind that almost everybody you're going to be playing against has constantly been playing Warzone for years, and they're hyper competitive about it. So very sweaty out there. So between hackers and sweats, it is a little bit annoying to me. Guys, that's all for my Verdansk review. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.